Good morning, we are back. Here's the plan. We do have the swimming pool crew back on site, well, half of them. So they're back to work on the bridges at the moment over the pool. We do have the metal roof frame guys on site. News of that in a moment. The guys are still continuing to work down the south side of the house on rendering the walls, very nearly finished. Then they'll turn the corner and start going around the gym. More rendering still inside the house, certainly in the home theatre room and maybe elsewhere. Door frames still going in. Electrical still going in. Plumbing still going in. And I am now closing again the when will the roof be finished competition. So by the time you get this, it is, I'm afraid, too late if you haven't entered. If I get anything before I publish this, I will obviously accept it because I gave you no warning. But I have to close it because there is news of the roof. What could possibly go wrong? The pool crew, who've just disappeared out of sight, but they are back, or at least half of them. They are back to work on building these walls over the bridges. The bad news is, once they've done that, nothing else they can do for a while. The builder has been told yesterday that the tiles for the floor of the pool, which were supposed to be available this week, now have an unknown delivery date. They don't want to start doing any of the other surfaces, the copings, the bench seats, anywhere else, until the tiles are in place. When they do that pebble dash finish, there will inevitably be spillage onto the floor of the pool, which would make it uneven and less easy to deal with when it comes to tiling. So once this is done, the whole pool is on hold. We could get different tiles, and after all the fuss and kerfuffle at the beginning of the process where we thought we would have different tiles, we've absolutely changed our minds. We want to stick with what we've got, use the same tiles as are on the walls. So after this, we are on hold for an unknown period of time. Now, that doesn't bother me too much. Even if this pool was finished and usable, we wouldn't want to have people over because of the fact that all around the outside there still may be obstacles, might still be sharp objects. So we wouldn't want people wandering around here. It wouldn't be that safe. So a delay for us, not the end of the world. The roof crew are here. And yes, I know you can't see them. That's because right now it is already break time and I'm having to film all of this a second time. I'm not going into why, it's embarrassing. Anyway, the roof crew's here for the metal frame, and the news today is that they will finish today. After that, we will then get, we believe this week, the crew to do the actual roofing on top of the frame will be coming in to do measurements. Once that's complete, the builder has told me this morning that he then will find out what their availability is and whether they have the materials to do it. So once again, although we are going to be finished with phase 1 today, we don't know when phase 2 will either start or finish. Watch this space. Ronwell is continuing to plaster here in the gym. So the 2 sections that are done, a 3rd section that's been started, and we did make a decision this morning about the door. And we're going to go with a sliding door, and it needs to be a reasonably large size because later on there might be some pretty big gym equipment or spa equipment coming in here. Particularly my wife is still keen on, at some point, putting in a sauna despite the fact that it's always hot here. She likes the idea of an indoor sauna. So that door has to be big enough to make sure things will get in. So far this morning, no more work yet on either the laundry door frame or the external door frame for the kitchen. Something else we have to be conscious of is this is an 80 centimetre door frame, and we need to make sure that any washing machine or dryer will fit through that. So a bit more research on our part is required. Back at the window areas for the dining room, I did earlier on film and check the window sills, and the engineer was 100% right. There is no angle yet on those sills. The way they will get the angle, originally the thought was maybe they would do that just by building up the cement mix on the inside edge, but actually in order to maintain the size to match the window frames, they're going to grind the outside edges of these windowsills. And while they're waiting for this all to be nice and dry and cured, they're working on the kitchen. And they have to go backwards and forwards between different windows because the drying, curing time, you can't just immediately start grinding apparently as soon as the concrete has set. You have to give it a little bit of time. And it is break time, but diggerator maintenance going on. They've basically had to replace all of the wheels. Here on the south facing wall, we are very nearly done with plastering stroke, rendering stroke, any other name you care to give it. Speaking of which, Joe Frugate has suggested alternative names. His email actually suggested that I should blame the grandchildren, but I think they're such good names, we'll give credit where it's due. So 2 alternative names he's come up with, based on what grandchildren might say, is number 1, it looks like they're making mud pies. So it's mud pieing. The other one is, it could be that you think, back when I was a kid in school, well, I wouldn't do it, but my friends used to stick bubble gum underneath the table or chairs. Looks a bit like a bit of bubble gum. So, it's bubble gumming. What have you got? Any ideas, any suggestions for alternative names for this whole process, which seems to give me such a headache? Looking back across the roof over the patio and gym. Okay, they say before 4:30 today they will be done. It does look like last night the regular crew got all of the trusses painted with the red oxide paint. I have to tell you, some of those purlins still not straight. They have to fix that before they finish. Also, hopefully it is fairly clear on this that the painting of the trusses up on the house roof is not complete. That, however, will be done by the regular crew, so the roof frame guys don't have to be concerned about this one today, or the other trusses that are not yet painted. It's the middle of the afternoon, and we have no pool crew again. They disappeared at lunchtime. They had got a fair bit of those bridges, the bridge walls completed, but not quite done. I think, my impression is they got called off to another job. There is no rush with these little walls, because at the moment, once they're done, as I said earlier, nothing else can happen. We also, up on top, well, we do have somebody up there, but he's not part of the roofing crew. The roofing crew have also gone. I think they need to come back. They said they were finished. I don't think they are. We'll go and have a look. The south wall, plastering, rendering, or any other name you want to give it, done. we now have a couple of guys working on adding the concrete hollow block to take it up to, once again, the level of the roof frame. I'm standing just outside the home theatre end, and we do not yet have a door frame for this door. There was a question again today about size, height particularly, and I just reconfirmed, yeah, it's 2.4 metres, same as almost all the other doors downstairs. Inside, ridiculously dark. I'm not going to go in. Richard has made some pretty good progress, however, going around with the plastering. We'll come back to that at the end of the day. Well, back up here again, I don't think they did anything to those purlins towards the other end. They're not straight. Once again, I don't know how significant that amount of bend is. Mentioned it to the engineer, said, look, you guys have to tell me, is that important or not? From the comments I've seen so far, unstraight purlins are not good. If anybody else would like to chip in or simply repeat maybe what you said earlier, just given the amount of bend that maybe you can see at the end there, what do you think? I think they should come back, and they told me they were straight and they're not. Back on the north side, we once again have a double Marvin plus a Donnell plastering the additional concrete hollow blocks that were put on above the roof beam that go up to meet the roof frame. So that was the last bit of plastering here on the north side. Well, not exactly the last bit. Doors and windows. Here, the gentleman has switched to come over here on this side. He's actually working both on this window on the north side of the kitchen and on the main east-facing window. Multitasking. And Manny has new wheels. Well, new wheels on his diggerator anyway. Because of these possible issues with purlins on the roof over the gym and the patio, I'm just going to chuck the drone up. There will be no attempt whatsoever at any kind of fancy flying. Not that any of the flying I ever do is that fancy, but it'll just be kind of straight up and down. So, all of you builders, I ask for your help once again. When you see these images, if they are clear enough, could you let me know what you think about the purlins up on the main roof? Thank you. It's the end of the day. We'll start here, where there really was only that progress on starting those walls for the bridge, or continuing those walls for the bridge. Beyond that, nothing else. So we are going to be held up, I'm pretty sure. The white cement that we've got apparently is nowhere near enough. We've got 9 bags and the builder thinks we're going to need 50. But before all of that, we need those tiles. So we'll have to just wait and see when they come in. Up on the roof over the gym. I think something has gone wrong. I think something's been identified and something has so far not been put right. We will see what other feedback comes in about whether actual builders think something has gone wrong or whether the curves in some of those purlins are acceptable. The drone footage, we can't get quite as close as we would like. To my, as I said on the text, to my very untrained eye, I think they look pretty straight up on the main roof, but just here, it just doesn't feel right. At the back of the house, kind of obscured by this tree, they did work in the afternoon on putting up more scaffolding across up top, and so it looks like they're preparing to start doing the plastering, rendering, mud pieing, bubble gumming up there. Any more names? Drop me a comment. Here at the kitchen, still more work to be done on squaring out this window and the one just around the corner on the right, but solid start with that. In the home theatre room, we're getting closer. I'd say we're now, well, we've got 2 walls and a half plastered, so 1.5 to go. And this is the room that has 2 doors. It might actually end up being 3, but definitely 2 doors, one going out there towards the living room and one over my left shoulder where we do not have door frames. There will be a third, which is kind of in front of me. There will be, if you've not seen before, there will be a false wall across here. There will need to be another door on the left-hand side of that. I'm not sure that'll need a metal door frame, but it'll need something. I'll have to wait and see what they do. Here in the corridor between the kitchen and the dirty kitchen, there was a little bit more work done on plastering in these doors. The 2 on the right into the laundry and the helper's room, on the inside they're not fully plastered in yet. The one into the dirty kitchen is fully plastered in both sides. Up at the top, where Double Marvin and O'Donnell were plastering those additional concrete hollow blocks, they didn't quite finish. However, Quiet Marvin seems determined, or he just likes the overtime. So it looks like he is planning to try and finish that today. That's it. So, the end of the day in which I think we've got something that we have to say is not quite right. A day in which we found out there is definitely going to be some sort of delay on finishing the pool. There could be a delay on getting the roof materials and the crew, although there is still no confirmation of that. So it's not been a perfect day, but there's still a lot going on that's been correct and right and good. Maybe tomorrow we'll have less little bumps in the road. See you then.